Yehuda, so tell us what's been happening since the end of the war with Iran.
Well, we're trying to get the things back up after 12 days of nothing doing. Part of it I was stuck in New York because there were no flights. So we're trying to get back on the streets. We're trying to get back in media. We're trying to put back our messages, adding up that now that the Iran thing has ended, we can go brute force of ending the war in Gaza and getting a hostage deal, emphasizing that if Israel can take Iran in 12 days, there's no reason why we have to keep on fighting in Gaza more than 600 days. Who's counting? Of course, as we saw 2 days ago, soldiers were being killed in Gaza. Nothing is being progressing in Gaza, I mean, in the fighting. So we need to end the war. We know that the only reason why things ended in Lebanon with Hezbollah, with Iran just 2 days ago, even with Syria a few months ago, was because there's no Israeli ideologic interest in those countries. On the other hand, by some extremists, right extremists, parties in the coalition, there is a direct interest in Gaza, meaning they want to go back and occupy the Gaza Strip, go back and rebuild settlements. This is the only reason, or in other words, the only reason the war continues in Gaza. It's for political reasons. Right extremists who want settlements, and Netanyahu himself who wants to satisfy his base and want to delay his criminal trial he's on.
And what do you make of the recent thing which Steve Witkoff has said about other countries joining the Abraham Accords while Israel is still doing the war in Gaza?
Can you repeat just a second? Look, there is a plane here that makes noise. Please repeat the question.
Yeah. What do you think about the recent comments by Steve Witkoff, who's talking about other countries joining the Abraham Accords, but Israel's still at war in Gaza? Most Arab countries, majority, want the war to end.
Well, we hope this announcement is pushing for ending the war. On the other hand, we heard it weeks back ago. We're hearing from Steve Witkoff that a deal is on the verge of being executed, but days go by, weeks go by, nothing happens. Must emphasize there that usually when mentioning Witkoff promoting a deal, it's a partial deal of releasing only 10 hostages. We insist on getting a full deal, releasing all the hostages. When we're talking about hostages, there are 20 living ones. And when I'm talking about my son Nimrod, who is the youngest and healthy and not a father, he could be one of the last. So that's why we insist on a full deal. That's why we insist of ending the war, because this is the only way to get a full deal, along with the fact that we want to end the war for the good of the country.
Do you
So,
think? Do you think that since now Hezbollah pretty much are weakened, Iran is completely weakened, right? Do you think Hamas poses any kind of threat now to Israel?
well, first of all, Hamas is completely weakened too, and long ago. Hamas cannot be a threat on Israel. Hamas can be eliminated afterwards, after hostages are secured. Right now, the endless fighting in Gaza doesn't give any progress because they say they are making sure not maneuvering where hostages are, meaning not maneuvering where Hamas is. So how can we eliminate Hamas and save the hostages at the same time? Things have to be done one after another. First of all, secure the hostages. Could have been done a long time ago, more than a year ago. and then Hamas could be eliminated. Hamas is pretty much isolated. He has no friends around. He has no Hezbollah to support him. He has no Iran to support him and finance him. So it's going to be very easy to eliminate Hamas. It's only a political question when Netanyahu will decide to put his personal interests aside and do the good thing for the country of Israel, do the good thing for the hostages, and get a hostage deal and end the war.
And do you think, well, what are basically the plans now that everyone can go out and protest again finally? Where do you see the protests kind of heading now?
Well, looking at the HQ, they got it more concentrated with their slogans. They are finally talking about ending the war and getting a hostage deal. They're finally coming out of this with these slogans. Before it was, we got to release all the hostages, even if it means ending the war. Now it's the opposite, ending the war to get a hostage deal. And the HQ is starting to recap. There's going to be the rally on Saturday night. And there is even going to be a demonstration in Sunday morning once the government is on session. They're going to bring, well, what's the word in English? This this mechanical thing that you rise up things, don't remember the name in English, and put a big sign against the officers of the government while they are in session saying, we can promote the success in Iran for ending the war in Gaza and getting a hostage deal. So they are starting to have activities. We're trying to recap.
And so, what did you do this morning? Because you went out and started protesting this morning. Where was it? What were you guys doing?
Okay, today there was a suggestion to, well, it wasn't a big thing, but again, some kind of demonstration in Tel Aviv Center, next to the Habima Theater, with signs and speeches. Again, it's the same old thing. We have to do it again and again because it doesn't end. Again, demanding a hostage deal, demanding the end of the war, demanding the release of all the hostages.
Do you feel like, judging how Trump was really angry at Netanyahu and Iran, the other day, and also based on his recent tweet at the same time too, also defending Netanyahu, do you think America's going to pressure a bit more to end the war now, or what? Where do you see it kind of heading?
Well, first of all, it's a one-man show. It's Trump. And yeah, we saw that Trump got angry on Netanyahu and on Iran. Regarding Netanyahu, he got angry on him about Iran. We need Trump to get angry on Netanyahu regarding Gaza. As we said all along, only President Donald Trump, can force Netanyahu to end the war in Gaza. That's what we're asking, and that's what we're hoping. We saw on the other hand that Trump went with an announcement that he just heard Netanyahu is on a criminal trial in Israel. It's a political trial. You gotta pardon him. He worked very hard, etc., etc. We hope it's a bear hug on Netanyahu. Okay, Netanyahu, I'm helping you. Now you have to do what I'm saying, and you'll have to stop the war in Gaza. That's what we're hoping for. Only one thing we are concentrated on, ending the war in Gaza and getting a hostage deal. How it will come with padding Netanyahu, with warning Netanyahu, with helping him to go through his trial, whatever. Everything goes as long if it's focused on ending the war in Gaza and getting a hostage deal.
But don't you think, politically, pretty much, since you look, Netanyahu's kind of, or Israel more specifically, one against Hezbollah, one against Iran, wouldn't it be more politically smart for Netanyahu to end the war so he can claim that he's brought the hostages back? Or is he really that beholden to his extremist coalition that he's that scared?
Well, let's say this: Netanyahu is always mapping the political situation in Israel. There were rumors that now that Israel won the war against Iran, okay, the credit is all for Netanyahu, let's say, and maybe now his electoral situation is better, and maybe he will go for a quick election. But polls show that nothing changed between the two big big sides of the political map, Netanyahu supporters versus Netanyahu non-supporters, and the numbers say pretty much the same. So for him, it's not good time to go for election. That means for him, it's not a good time to end the war in Gaza. That means for political reason, again political reasons, Netanyahu still insists on continuing the war in Gaza for his survival, his coalition survival. And so again, going back to Donald Trump, only Donald Trump can force Netanyahu, as he forced him to end the war in Iran, he can force him to end the war in Gaza. This is our request. This is our hope. This is what we are looking forward to.
And would you also basically explain to people, because I've been talking to several Israelis too, and the Israeli people are actually suffering economically because, again, tourism is down the drain, it is, like, countries are mad at them and all that. Like, can you explain why ending the war is actually in the benefit of the Israeli nation, not just bring the hostages back, but also the Israeli nation itself for the future of Israel?
Well, first of all, ending the war in Gaza is ending soldiers being killed. Ending the war in Gaza, that means thousands of Israeli fathers can go back home from their reserve service and go back to their homes, go back to their jobs. Economic could rise up again in terms that instead of money going burning down in Gaza, it will go for better things like tourism and other stuff. And another angle is we're less seeing it in Israel, but we know that pictures, videos from Gaza of how the Gazian population is suffering is blackening the name of Israel. So stopping the war in Gaza will stop blackening the image of Israel around the world.
How do you feel when a lot of people, I'd say, like, paid Hasbra, her pro Netanyahu, basically say, like, you've noticed probably on PS Morgan and things like that, when you have the Israeli ambassador go on it. How do you feel when they're basically saying that anyone who criticizes the way the war is being done in Gaza is anti-Semitic or anti-Israel? Do you view it that way, or do you view it as people just criticizing the government rather than the Israeli people?
Of course, it's criticizing the government. First of all, polls in Israel show that 70% and more people from the Israeli population wants the end of the war and hostage deal. So, under the fact that the Israeli government, Netanyahu's government, is ignoring public opinion, totally ignoring public opinion, criticizing the Netanyahu's government is not criticizing Israel, helping Israel by promoting the end of the war is helping Israel, not helping the Netanyahu's government. So there's a big difference between Israel as a nation and Netanyahu's government. Netanyahu's government is working against the Israeli nation interest. So criticizing her is what we need, and it's not criticizing the Israeli nation.
And so, to end this, what would you say Americans could do to help? Pretty much all, because the majority of Americans at this point, including Jewish Americans, want the war to end. Everyone's had enough. They have, like, they want the hostages back. They just want the destruction of Gaza to stop. What would you recommend the American people to do?
I would ask the American people to promote ending the war, to put it in front of the American administration, Donald Trump administration, asking him to end the war for the good of the Israeli nation, emphasizing for the good of the Israeli nation. If it will harm Netanyahu's government or not, that's a different question. I know that Trump is smart enough to do it in a way that it will give the credit to Netanyahu. Okay, fine. We are aiming at one thing, ending the war and getting a hostage deal. And that's what we are asking the American people to help us promote through the American administration.
Okay, well, thank you, Yehuda, and you'll continue updating everyone over the next weeks of everything that's happening.
All right, thank you.